Hey guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome to what I want to be a first impression review of the new Hourglass Ambient Lighting Blush Palette. It reflects everything. I just received this, I have prepared my makeup, and I thought, well, first impressions are not very useful, but I've heard from a couple of you that, oh, I kind of want to hear it from someone who didn't receive it. And I don't think blushes are particularly something that you need to test out for a long time. I want to check back in tonight after a few hours that I've had them on so you can see if they held on all right. But blushes are usually quite something that you can get a good feel for from the beginning. So that was the idea for today. Let's start with a bit of information. This Hourglass Ambient Lighting Blush Quad was released as part of Hourglass's holiday collection for 2019. I think it released earlier in the US, but on this side of the pond, it was available on the 1st of October. I purchased it from SpaceNK, which is a UK online and physical shop, while they were having their £15 off of 60 sale. This meant that this palette came down for me from £45, and I purchased with it a shampoo or something, and those two items together I spent 57 euros or so. I think the total was £48 something. So to start with, it is cheaper actually to purchase this in pounds from the UK rather than purchasing it from the Sephora Italy website. That is because Sephora Italy now has it priced at 63 euros, which is much more than 45 pounds, even full price. And Hourglass is available during their 20% off discounts, and if you do that, I think it comes down to 52 euros or so. So maybe worth it for that, but for me, not being in Italy and not wanting to wait until Christmas to get it when I will be back in Italy, I decided to purchase it from the UK. It is now available also on Cult Beauty, so that makes for a lot of places where you can find it. It contains 4 blushes in their smaller palette size, and I wanted to show you the packaging because I don't like it. The packaging is beautiful on the top with their usual hard plastic but expensive feeling top, this year in a silver color. I'm sorry if it reflects so badly, but what I really don't like is this underneath bit. This is hard plastic, it's transparent but slightly, let's say, not completely see-through, slightly, how do you call it, opaque, and it really cheapens the look of the palette, especially all of these lines on the side that you can see. It's probably the way the palette is assembled, with a top layer that contains the pans and the bottom component, but I really don't like it. I want to show you in comparison last year's Unlocked palette. Maybe I'll rub it a little bit on my pen so that it is clean. There we go. And size-wise, they are relatively similar in the sense that the new blush palette is the size of 4 pans of a 6-pan palette, if that makes sense. But look at how much prettier this packaging is with the full gold component. Much better, much more beautiful. This is loved, as you can see. I am also wearing the powder and the bronzer from this one today. But overall, for this Ambient Lighting Blush Quad, I am very disappointed in the bottom of the palette. This is the same packaging as the big 6-pan Ghost palette that they have this year, and yeah, they could have done better. Even the Ghost theme, I don't think it should have been so cheaply done. I don't know. I really don't like that. And for the rest, there has been some discussion about the value of this. I know that the price per gram, if you calculate it, is extraordinary more than buying a full-size blush from Hourglass, and that is yeah, the disadvantage of it, but then on the other side, on the other hand, you get 4 colors. Now, if you look at the minis of their blushes that they sell, those are price per gram very high, and this one is less than if you bought 4 mini blushes in price per grams. Then again, last year, Beauty News did a destroying of this Unlocked palette and showed how there's even like 30% more powder in grams than declared on this packaging. Hence, I am expecting and hoping that this one is also more product, hence it is advantageous. The reasoning for me is actually that I like Hourglass powders. I wanted blushes and not the face powder and bronzer and highlighter that is in the other big palette, because I already have the Unlocked. And there is no way I'm gonna buy a full-size Hourglass powder. It is so expensive, and I like them, but I do prefer having minis that cost me a little bit less, and I don't go through these anyways, so I'm not worried about that, and for me it made a lot of sense. Now, this is also, if we've talked on Instagram at all, you know that this is also the only holiday release that actually interested me this year, together with the Natasha Denona Mini Gold. But for the rest, everything else was quite boring. I like the fact that they finally came out with quads. I wish they did more shade variations, because I'm actually afraid, from what I swatched, that these will even be on the light side for me, and I can't imagine anyone who has an actual medium to deep skin tone wearing these for anything else than highlights. But before I put assumptions out there without trying them on my face, I'm gonna try them on my face. I now have my foundation concealer. I set my face with this powder here from the Unlocked palette, and I used this bronzer here for my bronzer. On my eyes is a combination of Soft Glam and Sultry from Anastasia Beverly Hills. My favorite combo of palettes ever. I wish they just made one instead of these ridiculous Norvina palettes. Just make those 2 in 1. That would be fantastic. And on my lips, the Lisa Eldridge Velvet Jazz lipstick. We have talked about it more during my favorites and monthly roundup, so I'll tag that, link that video up here in the card. And let's try this palette, shall we? There are 4 different blush shades, a pink one, which is a re-promote from a previous palette. I don't remember what year it was, but it has already been out. And it is the blush in Surreal Effect. Then here we have the Strobe Blush in Brilliant Nude, which, to be honest, looks a lot like a highlighter, but we'll see. Down here we have the Strobe Blush in Lucid Glow, and it looks to be a quite bright orangey blush. And number 4 here is a blush, a regular blush in Infinite Flush. So with these 2 being strobe blushes, I deduce that they're more intended as a blush topper or a very luminous blush compared to the other 2. Today, since I am wearing a quite neutral look, I am going to apply the this shade right here as a highlighter and this shade right here as a blush. This will give me a bit of an idea of both formulas. I am going to start by applying the blush, because I think this one here will be perfect as a topper, and it will do the same effect as a highlighter. So I'm using my Zoeva Luxe Sheer Cheek number 127. It's a natural bristle that I like. It's my favorite blush brush. My God, I cannot speak. And I'm gonna just start by applying this here. This is actually way more pigmented than I expected. And here again, Hourglass powders can show you again how what they swatch like is nothing like what they apply. And also that this shade here is actually not too light for me. From the swatches I did on my hand previously, it looked really, really light. So I am already really loving the effect. It is quite luminous without being shimmery. You can see that if I move my cheek, you don't even need a highlight in principle, because this is so nice and shimmery. So nice and glowy. For the top of my cheekbones, I'm taking a smaller brush. This is the Morphe R36, and applying this one up here, and I am going to use it quite liberally, a little bit everywhere. And indeed, this does have a color. You can see when I look straight on, it has added some color to my cheekbone. So this is indeed more of a blush topper than a highlighter in itself. I actually want to do the opposite on the other side, so I'll show you how that looks. But this is typically what a highlighter from Hourglass looks like, and I really like the effect of a shimmery topper on my cheeks. It also kind of, for the whole of summer, it kind of cut out the 3 steps of highlighting, bronzing and blushing for me. I was just using a shimmery blush to do the whole thing. So I really like the way it looks on this side. I'm going to take the same brush and apply on the other side the shimmery shade by itself, so that we can see if it leaves a color and I need to apply something next to it, or if it can be used just as a highlight. But you can see, I think clearly, or at least for me in the mirror, it's clear that it has added a little bit of a shade. I'm also the most tan I am usually, because I've been home from holidays for only 2 weeks. So I'm actually thinking that this needs to be a blush topper. I don't mind, because as I said, I can definitely use the blush topper just as a highlight, as long as the idea is that I get a lot of blush everywhere. I like to bring my blush higher up on my temple, like I did here, and in that case you can use the shimmery blushes and toppers also as a highlight, because then the whole idea is that your whole under eye and cheek area is colored. To make things even, I would have to put the same blush color on the other side, but because I am feeling adventurous, I am going to apply the more orangey one on the other side. I will be using my color switch knockoff to get most of the color off of my brush, so that I'm not applying a mixture, and going in with this more orangey shade right here. I'm gonna look ridiculous to whoever sees me around, but well, I actually am surprised about how non-ridiculously orange this is. It looks quite nice, and definitely a type of shade that I love using. This one here is a strobe blush, and it has a bit more sheen on the underside, you can see it probably, compared to this other side. It's really subtle, the difference though. And looking in front, yeah, you can probably tell the difference in color, but I think the effect is very similar, and I am really liking both of these shades. Now I'm gonna show you swatches with my fingers, because I want to make my point about the 4th shade. These really do not swatch well, so I'm gonna do my best to show you. Here we are. I hope this gives you a bit of an idea. In person, I think they're a little bit darker than what you are seeing, but you can see how very brightly orange this looks, and how very baby pink the first one looks. And it has quite a cool toned sheen to it. Now, of these 4 shades, this is probably the one I will not use, or use the least. I have my pink moments, but they're very rare. They're really very rare. And yeah, I think it's a bit too pink for me. That was a doubt I had before purchasing this palette, and now it's just confirmed. But for me, I can use 3 of these, and I have a good variation of a more plummy nude and a more orangey shade, which, to be honest, this is something that I wear a lot, just because I like these warm tones. So overall, my thoughts on the palette is that I am very happy to have it. I will continue my day. It is now 5 p.m. and we'll come back later to look at how they held up. And probably I'll be very oily, but you're gonna bear with me, I guess. And yeah, I'll be right back. But so far, very happy with the palette, very happy with my purchase, not with all the fingerprints, but I am not regretting it one little bit. I'll see you in a moment. One last check-in. It is now almost midnight, so we're 7 hours further, and I haven't touched my makeup since. I ate pizza, so my lipstick is almost all gone, but I wanted to show you the blushes, how they stayed absolutely wonderfully this whole time. So I am really, really happy with the new Hourglass blush palette. Yes, the packaging sucks. Yes, it's expensive, and for this packaging, it's expensive. But if your heart is set into getting a Hourglass blush and it is expensive and you wouldn't be buying more than one, I think that this is a good option to have a few shades. On the other hand, if you haven't tried any other powders and you're itching to try the other powders, I would recommend you to get one of the 6-pan palettes. Don't know if I would recommend you to get this year's palette because the packaging is so ugly, but I find myself loving this one. So this year's palette also has 2 setting powders, of highlights, a bronzer and 2 blushes, so a similar setup but with shades that were already a few shades that are already in the permanent line. So it is really kind of up to you on whether you want to spend the money on this, but if you've been wanting to try Hourglass, and these sets are, and these palettes are definitely a great way to try the brand and not have too many full-size items of 50+ euros each. So with this, thank you so much for watching. I realized the first part of this video is incredibly out of focus and I apologize. My remote control broke, so I thought I was in focus, but I actually wasn't. I'm gonna try to fix that in the next video. Thank you so much for watching. Give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. Let me know if you're gonna purchase one of these palettes. Let me know in the comments down below, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more videos to come. A good night to you from me. I'm gonna go remove my makeup and I'll see you in the next one. Bye guys!